Hey guys, another homework video. Finally, it's been a little while. This one is on cell vocab. So this is the precursor to everything related to cells, which we will start tomorrow. So please update your table of contents. It should say cell vocab homework notes. So in this video, by the end, you should be able to identify the definitions of important vocab, and you will have to listen to the video, read the information on the screen, and write notes, and answer questions, as always. So in class, we talked about Earth's timeline, right? So here is present day, where we are, and then if you go back millions and millions and millions and even billions of years, almost 5 billion years ago, the Earth was created. So you can go all the way back in time, and life obviously did not exist all that long ago. Life itself is only a couple million years old. So taking this understanding of Earth as a very, very old object, we then want to go into the different types of life that began and then became what we know today. So the first living beings were just the single-celled organisms, so one little cell. And over time, so here's the little guys, and over time they evolved into the organisms we know today with many cells. They started out in the ocean and then eventually developed traits that allow them to live on land, and now we have all kinds of organisms that live on land, including us. So the cell. What is the cell? It is the basic structural and functional unit of all life. So that means it is structure. So you put cells together, they make things, like us. And functional, meaning it helps you do things. So cells themselves are their own like little compartments of energy, and it's like a little body. They have little organs inside, and when you put lots of little bodies together, you get a big body. So they help build you and they help you work. This is what an animal cell looks like. And some organisms are only one cell big. So those little organs basically would be their real organs. And a bacteria would be an example of a single-celled organism. But you can also put cells together to make tissues, put tissues together to make organs, and put organs together to make organisms. This is an image of cheek cells, actually, from inside. So if you put a bunch of those cells together, they make your cheek. So you can pause the video. You need all this down in your notes. All life is made of cells. I want you to write down that bullet. You do not have to write the stuff that comes up down here, though. So what kinds of life are there? A rock. Is a rock alive? No. What about the moon? Is the moon alive? No, it's just a big rock. What about bacteria? Is bacteria alive? Yes, bacteria is alive. They are single-celled organisms, meaning one cell. What about fungi, like the fungus that grows on feet, or mushrooms? Yes, they are alive. Mold can be fungus. Ugh, gross. What about water? Is water alive? It is not. No. Good. So scientists have looked at all of the things that are alive, such as bacteria and fungi and humans and animals and plants, and they've put them into 6 kingdoms to show the separate categories, because each category has its own individual characteristics. So we know that kingdom is our first broad category in our classification order. It goes kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So there are 6 kingdoms you're going to have to memorize. Please write them down. The first is the animal kingdom, which we are in. The Latin word is animalia. So you'll often see it as animalia, but it means animals. The second kingdom is plantae, which means plants. Third is fungi, which is the same in Latin and English. The fourth is protista, which means protists. They're these tiny, tiny little things that look like plants, but they're not plants, actually. They're close to us. Eubacteria is one type of bacteria, and Archaebacteria is the other kind. There are so many kinds of bacteria that they actually broke them up into 2 separate categories. They might all kind of seem the same to us, but if you really, really look into the science of them, they're pretty different. So these are the 6. Please write these down. In class, we're going to fill out a chart similar to this, and there's a lot of important vocab that is associated with the cells in the kingdoms. So I'm going to have you guys write down the vocab on the next slide. You do not have to copy this part. Here's some important vocab. Unicellular means one cell. Uni means one, cellular means cell, so one cell. Multicellular means many cells, because multi means many. Eukaryote or eukaryotic is a cell that has a nucleus and organelles. So a plant cell or an animal cell would be eukaryotic. Prokaryote or prokaryotic is a cell that does not have a nucleus and does not have organelles. So that would be bacteria. The nucleus is the organelle that holds the DNA and controls the cell's functions. So it's like the brain of the cell. You need to write that down too. So this would be the nucleus, the little circle inside a cell. So eukaryotes have one and prokaryotes do not. And organelles themselves are tiny organs inside the cell that help it function. So please write all of these down. This is a eukaryotic cell because it clearly has a bunch of organelles or tiny organs, and it has a nucleus, which is this big circle right here, inside of which has a nucleolus that contains DNA. And then a prokaryotic cell is this one over here. As you can see, it doesn't have a lot of organs. See all the organs? So no organelles, just ribosomes, which are these tiny little dots. And it has no nucleus. The DNA is just floating. It's called free floating because it's not contained inside a nucleus. So that's how you know this is prokaryotic. Cells need energy, and there's a couple ways they can get it. Some cells are autotrophs, which means they make their own food using the sun or photosynthesis. Auto means self, so makes food themselves. And here are some examples. Plants, here's some protists, algae, there's actually some bacteria that use photosynthesis. So those would be autotrophs, they make their own food. And then heterotrophs need to get their food from other sources. So they eat things or absorb things, such as a caterpillar eating a leaf or a rabbit, eating a flower. Spiders that eat bugs are carnivores, if you eat meat. And then decomposers break down food and they eat their nutrients that way. But in all of them, they're getting food from other sources. And our last 2 words are motile, which means they can move on their own. So like us or rabbits or dogs. Even bacteria can move. And sessile means the organism cannot move. So for example, shells, right? They can't move. They're just stuck to the side. So this is important because this differentiates what kingdom organisms might be in. Please make sure you have all those written down. So final review, the questions will pop up on the side, just answer them. Organelles. Multicellular. Heterotroph. Nucleus. Motile. Prokaryotic. Autotroph. Eukaryotic. Unicellular, and sessile. You're all done. Good job. I'll see you guys soon.